How to draw anime for beginners. Anime has influenced us all in some way or another. In fact, games and shows from Japan were one of the biggest reasons why I started drawing in the first place. So today, I want to teach you how you can progress quickly as a beginner learning to draw in an anime style. When we say anime, we're talking about an entire genre. Anime is a catch-all term for Japanese animation, meaning there are literally hundreds of styles from hundreds of shows and dozens of studios producing them. So what I want you to learn from this is how to take any anime style and break it down using fundamental or basic drawing tools. Let's start with some of the most famous anime. Dragon Ball Z is really heavily focused on anatomy and musculature, albeit very stylized. Then we have, say, Pokemon, where it's much more about shape design and simplicity. Finally, let's look at a more modern anime, like Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan draws closer to realism in many ways than Dragon Ball Z, and definitely more than Pokemon, which adds to the mature feeling of the series overall. So what do you need to know in order to draw in these styles? First, you have to be able to break things down into two things: proportions and shapes. Once you understand how the artists of each anime utilize proportions and shapes, you'll have a much easier time mimicking or learning from the style. Let's take Ash Ketchum versus Eren Yeager, for example. We can see that Ash's shapes are more simplified. There are less lines and more big, easy to see shapes like his hair, his hat, even his clothes. There aren't a lot of folds or anything like that. Even the limbs and anatomy are largely basic, built off of forms like cylinders and rectangles. His proportions measure out like so. With Eren Yeager, we can see that there's a lot more detail, and the proportions are closer to realism, as I said before. There are more folds in the clothes, more details and shapes to draw everywhere, from the facial features to the limbs. So how do we actually begin to draw in these styles if we're just starting out? Well, the shapes we noted can be taken in isolate, like so. Draw a bunch of different mouth shapes from Pokemon screen caps of Ash or other characters and do the same for eyes, noses, hair, etc. This is called studying. Duh, right? Like studying for a spelling test or a science quiz, you're spending time learning how the shapes look for different features, meaning that when you're not looking at the shapes directly, they become imprinted in your mind through your hand. If you want, you can try drawing his face a bunch of different ways in one sitting, and even try to do so with half or all of his body. Do you sense the theme here? We're breaking it down using mostly shapes and proportions. Proportions are how we measure big, small, close, or far away shapes as they relate to one another. After filling a few pages with notes and sketches, you can try to draw the character from your head in a new pose using a mannequin or basic type of figure as a starting point. By the way, I teach you how to do all these things and more in my beginner drawing courses. Links in the description. Anyway, then you can try to put together your own characters using what you've learned. Here's an example in the Pokemon style. And here's an example in the Attack on Titan style. These are my OCs, do not steal. It takes a lot of work to get to this point, but it doesn't always have to feel like work. Your attitude, approach, and drive will largely determine how quickly you're able to ascend in skill and expression. It also depends on how much you study the fundamentals of drawing. Anyway, that's a solid approach to drawing anime for beginners. With enough study, you'll be well on your way to drawing anime like a pro. Until next time, happy drawing.